In this quick tip video, I'll show you how to create a stamp from scratch using both texture and opacity, and then I'll show you how to convert any black and white image into a stamp brush that you can use, reuse, and even sell. Let's get started. While we all love a beautiful decorative stamp brushes have other long-lasting options too, like logos for watermarks, templates for pattern making, and even sketches for planning out compositions. And they're all available when you tap on the screen. But also, let's not forget the decorative ones, like lettering for stationery, design elements, frames, and even Post-its. For all of these stamp brushes, you want to be using a square canvas. I like using a 2500 by 2500 pixel canvas at 300 dpi. I work in the Display P3 color profile, but if you're on an older iPad and don't have access to that, then the default sRGB color profile is perfectly fine. So the reason you want a square canvas is that that's really the only way to make a brush. So even though you can use any dimensions that you would like, just make sure that your canvas is square. So for this first one, I'm going to do a decorative lettering stamp that you could put on greeting cards or social media graphics. I kind of have it in mind as something that I could use really quickly if I need to send a greeting to somebody. So I am using my Edgy Ink practice brush from my beautiful lettering brush set. The next thing that you want to make sure of is that you have a white background, which is white by default, and then you want to make sure that you're using black to create your graphic. So in your color slider down here, I'm in the disk view, you want to double tap where black is, and that will give you true black. If it's even a little bit gray, like if I have it right here instead of right here, then my brush will automatically have some opacity to it. So if you ever get into a situation where you're like, why is there opacity? I didn't want opacity. That's the reason. So make sure you have true black selected, and then you can create your graphics. I've got my lettering all set, so I'm just going to center it on the screen. And now we can convert it into a brush. So what you want to do is first we need to inverse this image and we need it flattened. So I'm going to 3-finger swipe, choose copy all, and then 3-finger swipe again and choose paste. And this will create a copy of everything that was visible on your screen into a flattened layer at the top. I'm going to turn off my original layer, and now with this one, I need to invert the image. So I'm going to tap on the layer thumbnail and choose invert. This will make your graphic white and your background black. Next, I'm going to copy this. So tap on the layer thumbnail and choose copy. And now it's time to create our brand new brush. I'm going to head into my brushes category. You can create a new brush within an existing brush category, like in my beautiful lettering brush set, or you can create a brand new category if you would like. I'm going to add this to my experiments folder. I've got a bunch of different brushes that I've created that I kind of keep in one place, and when I'm happy with them, then I move them into their own category. But that's just kind of my process and how I work with these new brushes. So I'm going to hit the plus sign up here. And first we want to paste in the shape, the artwork that we just created. So you're going to come over to shape. You're going to hit edit, import, and then just choose paste. Since we had copied that layer, you can just paste it right in. And then I'm going to hit done. And now you can see this preview where it's just repeating, and we definitely don't want that to happen. So I'm going to come up here to stroke path. You want to increase your spacing all the way up to max. So when you draw it, it's not going to repeat in this crazy line. You could just stamp it in and it will show up. And then the other thing you want to do is come down here where it says Apple Pencil and then reduce the opacity under pressure all the way down to none. So this will make sure that there's no opacity applied to this, so you can stamp it in with both your finger or your stylus. And that's really it. That's how simple these settings are. If you come into about this brush, you can take ownership of the brush, so you can put in your name, you can do your signature, and you can name your brush as well. And then I'm going to hit done, and let's just test it out. So I need to turn off this layer, create a brand new layer. I have black selected, but I could select any color now. It doesn't matter, because I'm actually using the brush, and I can stamp it in with my finger or my stylus, and you can see that's super tiny. And if I come all the way up to the max size, it's still pretty tiny. So if you'd like to adjust the appearance of this, all you have to do is come back into your brush settings, and then under properties, this is where you can decide what your brush behavior will be. So if I want my maximum size to be much larger, I can increase that to max, my minimum size. I definitely don't want it super, super tiny, so I will do like 5% for my minimum size. And then I always want it at max opacity. I don't want it to be faded at all. I can also use the stamp preview as the image preview when it's over here, and you can see what that looks like. If I come in here, I can adjust the preview size since we saw that this is pretty gigantic. All I have to do is tap on the brush again and reduce the size. I'm going to come down to 15% for that. And that's really it. Now we can have a brush that we can view at a larger size and we can adjust it a little bit better. But those are the basics of creating a stamp brush. It's super simple. And next I want to show you how to create a stamp brush that has texture and opacity to it. So I'm going to just delete this layer. I'm going to create a brand new layer. I can stay in the exact same canvas. I don't have to create a brand new canvas for every single brush that I make. And I just need to make sure that I'm switching back to black here. So back to true black. And now we're going to create a watercolor brush. And you can do this with an existing watercolor brush. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to head into my Messy Watercolors brush set. One of my favorite watercolor brushes is my Tuesday water brush. So that's the one I have selected. And just remember, you want to have that true black selected when you're doing this. I'm just going to create a little heart stamp. We've got Valentine's Day coming up. So I'm just going to create a couple little hearts that I could stamp on anything that I need. And you can notice right away, because I don't have true black throughout the entire design of this, even though I have true black selected, there's areas of gray here because this brush naturally has some opacity to it. So we can see that really pretty watercolor texture coming through. And that's going to take effect in the stamp brush that we create from this illustration. So we're going to follow the exact same steps that we followed before. I'm going to 3-finger swipe and choose copy all, and then 3-finger swipe and choose paste. And then I'm going to invert this image. So tap in the layer thumbnail and choose invert, tap in the layer thumbnail and choose copy. And now, because we've already created one stamp brush, we can reuse the exact same settings for this next one. So it really makes the process speed along really well. I'm going to head into my brushes, head back into my experiments category, and I'm just going to duplicate this congrats stamp. So slide it to the left and choose duplicate, tap on the brush to go into the settings, go to shape, tap on edit, and then import, and then choose paste, and then hit done. And now we've got our heart stamp all set. And the only thing you want to make sure you do is go into about this brush and then just change the name of it. I'm going to hit done. And now let's test it. I'm going to turn these layers off, create a brand new layer, and choose whatever color that you would like. And then I'm just going to stamp it in with my finger, stamp it in with my stylus. I can change the size, and everything looks great. The last stamp brush that I want to show you how to make is by using an existing black and white image and converting that into a stamp. So we're going to use my logo as an example, and this will allow me to use it as a watermark that I can just place really quickly and really easily on any artwork that I create. So I'm going to turn off this layer, create a brand new layer, and now I need to go grab that image. I emailed it to myself and I downloaded it onto my iPad, so it's in my photos folder. All I have to do is hit the wrench, add category, insert a photo, and go grab that image. So once again, this was just a JPEG. It's just a plain black and white image, and it's maxing out the size to the edges. So I'm just going to leave it exactly as it is. So I've got a nice, clear, beautiful image. And now we're going to do the 3-finger swipe again, copy all, 3-finger swipe, paste. I've got that layer up here. I couldn't do it with the image because the image wasn't square, if you're wondering why I didn't do that. And if it's rectangle, it's going to be distorted. If you try and create a stamp out of it, you always want to make sure you're using a square format. So that's why that little trick of the 3-finger swipe works really well here. I'm going to invert the image again, tap on the layer thumbnail, invert, tap on the layer thumbnail and choose copy. I'm going to duplicate the watercolor hearts that we just made, tap on the brush to enter the settings, and then this is just rinse and repeat from here. Go into shape, edit, import, paste, done. And then just rename your brush and then hit done. All right, let's test it. So I can turn off these layers, create a brand new layer, and just tap it in with my finger, tap it in with my stylus. Everything looks good. I can change the color. And now I've got this logo stamp that I can use to watermark any of my artwork moving forward. Links to everything from this video are right in the video description. If you enjoyed this quick tip, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.